Ideally, I would possess that sense of quiet confidence that is a result of having a goal, having a drive, something you're passionate about, something you're completely confident in. You could be a Dungeons and Dragons player, you could be a Twitch streamer streaming Fortnite, but you can still emanate that sense of quiet confidence if you're completely, or if you're at least greatly fulfilled by what you do and what you're striving toward, or if you feel you're striving towards something great. That's what I aim for, that sense of quiet confidence. Recently I felt pretty good sense of anxiety, which was largely due, I think, to possessing, due to programming in Rails, and just feeling completely overwhelmed in regard to what I was doing, what I was trying to undertake. It didn't feel right, and every day I sort of dreaded going back to it, in comparison to, let's say, the JavaScript and the CSS and HTML I was doing prior, which was my own app, completely my own design. I enjoyed that much more. So yeah, in comparison to that, Rails has not been nearly as enjoyable, and I felt like I'm doing it for the motive of money primarily, long-term sustainability. But the ironic thing in that is that if I tackle something which is really difficult and quite abstract and just really demanding, and I make progress, or make some progress, and I've built something which I have a little understanding of but is quite complex to fresh eyes, then it'd look really good. I might get a feeling of gratification early, then I'd feel like an imposter, and eventually over a long period of time that would dwindle and my success would be erratic and all over the place, because I don't have these fundamentals in place, secured. I believe I know how I'd be if I managed to get work in like Rails, this Ruby on Rails, which is just let's just say a framework, a different avenue, let's say, in this computer science industry. I'd be pretty damn anxious, and I'd feel like an imposter if I got a job. I'd probably feel a ton of anxiety because I feel like I wouldn't be capable of doing it, because I probably wouldn't, and I'd have probably a lot of difficulty because I haven't actually got the foundations. I've just got this facade with a really fragile foundation, which would crumble like that. So yesterday was the first day I've taken off programming for weeks maybe, and I don't know what I did. I just did a load of reading, a book called How Not to Diet, which I'm kind of skimming through and taking bite-sized chunks out of, and today I've been researching, and I watched a 2-hour video which I will probably link, which has been pretty fantastic and changed my perspective, and I feel already a sense of reassurance in that what I'm now planning to do is much more stable, much more has a lot more potential for long term in terms of actually garnering success and having, accumulating this sense of quiet confidence. And that is basically starting from just HTML, just CSS, and then JavaScript, and then something like React, and then like MongoDB, Express, more back-end stuff. Money won't come as fast, if it was even going to come with Rails and stuff, because the problem is there. If I was heading towards something which was mainly incentivized by the idea of money, the prospect of money, then again it could start off like, but then my main motivation, not even ulterior, kind of supplants it breaks it down, and it causes essentially my long-term success to pretty much be negligible, most likely, and I just get disheartened. I'll do it for another month or two and then give up. But the way I'm doing this now, hopefully I can get excited about a few projects, and at the moment I've been bought a course on Udemy, and I'm enjoying it so far. Hopefully I can just pace through that, really understand and know the foundations, because when you really know something, you have that quite confidence that comes in that area, or whatever, you know. You know it, it's like instinctual, that's when it's good. Because if you're doing something where you're not really sure of what you're doing, but you fake it, you're faking it, then you might make it a bit, maybe, and then when you make it, you can look back on the fundamentals and learn them then. But with that whole journey comes, for me anyway, would come a lot of anxiety, because I'd feel like an imposter, and feel like I was just, faking it, which I would be, honestly. So I want to build up a strong foundation, and basically create a kick-ass portfolio. I'd like to create one which is my Kindle, create another which probably takes excerpts from my writing and pastes them, maybe links to different essays, which would mainly be HTML, CSS and a bit of JavaScript and nothing else, and just do that, build a sick portfolio, build some awesome looking websites, stuff I can actually be proud of, because over the last few weeks I've been doing Rails, last 2 and a bit weeks, and I've created really shitty apps following tutorials. And if you asked me to make my own app, I'd feel just anxious and not know what the fuck to do. I haven't been, so that's programming and job side of stuff out of the way. I'll talk about everything else. I haven't been jogging in nearly a week, about 5 or 6 days. I did a 15k last Monday, I believe, so 6 days ago, or maybe last Tuesday, whatever it was, and heretofore since then I've had probably a bit of tendinitis. Every time I walk, I am lifting my left foot, the side of it, off the ground because it's painful, and just walking has been a bitch. So today's been the first day where I can actually walk on it and only feel a twinge of pain. So maybe by tomorrow I might wait till the day after, just so I don't, fuck it up again. Then I'll start jogging. Eating has been absolutely on point since this How Not to Diet book. I've not really changed much. I only started reading it the night before last, but again, it's helped me re-realise, because I read How Not to Die last year, helped me re-realise the importance of basically good food, just plant-based, legumes, fruit, veg, nuts. Helped me re-realise the importance. What else? I've noticed a physical change now in my body in comparison to, I can think back to a few weeks ago, and I know that I've lost weight. I can see it on my waist and just in general. I think even on my face a bit, I can see it. Tomorrow I have a meeting with the I'm not going to air quotes, the 3 business owners of this business for traumatic brain injury recovery that I've been dabbling in, talking to this guy for about a month or so about, and I got a contract that first came in a iOS only .pages format, and then it came in a normal format, and it's just like $150 startup, so 75 quid pretty much, and then 2 hours a week of $25 an hour, and then 3.3% of the company revenue at the moment, and probably for the next couple of months at least, they probably be making nothing, because the product is in note form. I've discussed this before. There is no product at the moment, just an idea and notes. And not taking the piss out of the guy, but the guy who's doing it all obviously is with traumatic brain injury, so it's very hard for him to create the product, and apparently he's been building these notes for like 2 or 3 years, and they're still just on paper. So I'm not saying he needs to get shit together, but I think he needs to be a bit more realistic from what I know and have been told. So I have no hope in that. It's just something I may as well do for the sake of experience, CV, and there's a potential that it could go somewhere. At the moment, my main focus is diet, reading, and this web design front end primarily endeavour that I'm taking on. I'm reading the Book of Disquiet as well. Just started that, not even like 2 pages in, because I picked up How Not to Die, Diet, and I recently finished Mein Kampf by Karl Ove Knausgaard, My Struggle, the first volume, first book, which was great, really good. I finished other books I've been reading a lot. I can't even remember the book prior. I sent my first 9 drafted pages of my book, Sailing Over Tidings Blue, to 2 friends, and a third one a couple of hours ago, and I received some positive feedback and some criticism, which I was elated about. Just some positive criticism, like saying like, oh, it reads like a book and it's impressive and it, you know, it flows. It was really nice to hear. Yeah, I could leave this video here, but I will continue because I've just been out for a walk and I had thoughts, and now they're slowly coming back, and I've just forgotten that one. Now it's come back to me. So I could, and what I was thinking of doing or playing with the idea was to just not do programming, because I thought that I could become eventually self-employed by selling books. That's my kind of dream, like for 5-10 years, be an author and make some income through sales of writing in whatever form, you know, internet, but ideally books. So I was thinking like, okay, well, is it more authentic if I don't go down the computer science road and just work on my writing and just write for hours and hours every day? And I thought, okay, this would be potentially more authentic, but then I thought more realistically and rationally and realised that I wouldn't know what to do with the books, with all the work I've got, all the writing I've got, you know, how to market it and I'd have to pay publishers and editors probably to go through it, and I'd get a load of criticism perhaps all the publishers would reject me because perhaps my writing isn't popular, or it's not really, I wouldn't define it as pulp, I don't think it's overly easy reading in terms of the language and the writing style. I don't think it's mainstream, pardon my pretension there. So yeah, it's just super unreliable. I probably run out of money and might just give up and feel super shit. It's just too uncertain. At the moment, I would like some income coming in so I can work on my writing more, so I can focus on that more. Moreover, I can really enjoy this programming, and also I can actually build a platform to bolster and actually catalyse it, well, even start, should I say, any likelihood, any chances of my writing becoming fruitful. Because at the moment there's nothing. So what I mean by that is I could build a website to advertise my writing, you know, get people interested, build some sort of community, some crowd, some audience, that's the word, and then I can focus on writing, and I'll actually have people who may be interested in reading it, because at the moment, a few mates, which is rewarding when people say, oh, this is cool, or whatever, but it's not sustainable. There is no way for me to make an income off of it, which is a necessary evil, or it's just something necessary. It's not really an evil, but it is necessary. And being in the situation I am now, it's a good time to focus on something such as programming software, so I can just fire months at it and hopefully get some sort of income going, some form of self-employment. And if I can do all this before I'm 24, what a year, you know. I'd have written and drafted a book. Well, it's not really a point really, but I'd have, you know, moved out of my parents completely and would be living across the world, which isn't really a big thing. It's not really an achievement. It's just something I said, okay, I'll do that. So I won't really count that. But I would have lost, hopefully. I was £188 just before I came here. And if I can get down to like 154, that'd be like £34. So I'd have lost over 2 stone. Let's say 2.5 stone. If I can get to 153. Yeah, I think. No. Maths. But yeah, lost a load of weight and become self-employed. And then I want to read another 50, nearly 50 or so books. That'd be a pretty good year. Another thing why this is such a great time for me at the moment in this, COVID loveliness. It's a silver lining. Is that I'm in a place where I can just focus and do what I want. What is great is the people I'm surrounded by don't impinge upon my ability to work. There's no social pressure. People don't say, "Oh, Luke, just chill out, just come for a drink." People just leave me to do what I want. And when I say, "Okay, I'm doing this," they just say, "Okay, that's awesome." Because I could say, "Oh, I'm not liked," or "I don't, they don't want me there." That's just horse shit. That's just ridiculous. It's a blessing that people aren't pressuring me to do X, Y, and Z. Because if I were at home with my parents, they say, "Oh, you don't need to get up at this time," or just indulge in a bit of chocolate, or just stop beating yourself up. "Oh, we should stop doing that vegan thing," or just watch a movie tonight, just chill out. In the short term, if it can seem rational, "Oh yeah, I deserve a break," but then in the long term, you don't even really want to be taking that break in the short term. If you're planning them in the day and saying, "Okay, well, I'll take an hour off at this time," fine. But if you're just doing it because people around you are pressuring you into doing it, it's blatantly not what you genuinely want for yourself. It's your perspective is being skewed in that moment. So at the moment, I don't have that, and it's great. Coming back to the ideally bit, ideally I'd like to be in a place where I can vet. I can pick and choose in terms of girls, friends, and then in terms of like where I am, what I'm doing and stuff. So the last one is like more financial. I can choose where I'm living, what I'm doing, etc. And the first two are just like a product of my being. That video I'll try to link is, if I remember, is he quotes Cal Newport in the book "So Good They Can't Ignore You," or something like that. And it's basically being so good they can't ignore you. And that's not just in terms of employers, that's in terms of everyone. If you want girls, good friends, you don't try to impress them and seduce them, coax them, there's another word. But you are the product and it sells itself. You don't need to become a beast in marketing, in terms of marketing your looks and personality for girls, in terms of the words you use to deceive or whatever, friends and girls and your employers. You don't need to do any of that, because your being is, you've got that quiet confidence, and you just attract. You're a magnet. So yeah, that's that.